Live from Keene, New Hampshire, the most watched TV news show in Keene, the Keene Weekly News with Mark Edgington. Coverage of local and national events starts now.
Good evening. Thanks for watching the Keene Weekly News. My name is Mark Edgington. Today is September the 14th, 2007. Thanks for watching. Now, for those of you who might be fooled by the name Keene Weekly News, this is not, in fact, a news program. I just really like doing that whole over-the-top thing with the flag rippling and the guy with the big giant voice with the Keene Weekly News. Now, this is really just a commentary show, and I'm going to read the news. I'm going to tell you what I think about it. Looks like the Keene school board wants our opinion on the budget. Apparently, our little votes this year, voting down all their extravagant spending on their fun public school projects they've got going, well, they didn't like that, so they want to work together. I wonder what's going to happen if I go and say, well, I want you to shut down the public school, because I'm not interested in it. I'll probably be dismissed as a radical, as somebody who's just talking. You know, the school budget is 60% of what we spend our tax money on in Keene. When I say we, I mean the city council, because you don't get to decide what your tax money is spent on. You just pay it or lose your house, citizen. That's how it goes. You pay the taxes, $5,000 a year. City council decides what to do with them. You don't like it, they'll just take your house away. So, anyway, the officials are asking our opinions on public school, and I've got to say, I think this is moving in the right direction. I know I like to give the city officials some problems, and they need problems. Because if they run amok and they just do whatever they want, and we're not here to call them on the carpet, then who's going to do it? Who's going to keep them in check? It's our job. It's especially the job of the media to keep an eye on the government. That's the whole purpose of freedom of the press in the United States. So, you know, I've got detractors. Believe it or not, I've got detractors. People watch Cheshire TV. They listen to what I say, and they hate me for it. In fact, yeah. So, regardless of what the detractors may say, I'm doing the right thing by keeping an eye on these city officials. For you, my viewers, I would recommend that we do, in fact, go to this planning school meeting thing and tell everybody what we think about public schools. Whether it's you want to see an expansion in some particular area, whether you want to see contraction, whatever it is, we need to be involved in the budgetary decisions as far as the schools go, because this is our money. Our meaning, you know, every taxpayer in Keene. I'd like to take this next minute or so to sort of explain how taxes work here in New Hampshire. A lot of people don't get it. A lot of people think that there's, you know, for instance, if they rent, that they don't pay taxes, that they're getting away with something. Or if somebody owns a home, they think, well, how come I have to pay for everything and those darn renters don't have to pay for anything? Because we have a property tax system here in New Hampshire. The only way the taxes come in is through the property. All property is owned at some point or another. There's an owner down the line, and that person has to pay property taxes. Well, for instance, I'm going to use myself as an example. I rent here in Keene. I moved about a year ago to Keene, and I didn't want to just go in and buy something before I came in. I mean, doesn't that sound ludicrous? I wanted to look around, get an idea what I liked, and then I'd buy. And so I rent. I rent from a nice man named Steve. And Steve pays property taxes on the house, but I pay him rent. Now, at the very least, if Steve is a shrewd businessman, and let's hope he is, he's making a profit on the house. He may be losing, but either way, he's paying the property taxes. Likely, he's making a small profit on the house. So he's got his mortgage payment, he's got his property taxes, and a little bit of profit. And that's how, our system works. So the profit, a business has to make profit for it to even make sense. It has, why would you run a business if you weren't making profit? Why would you be involved in business? That's why businesses shut down. They're not making profits. Well, taxes are part of the overhead in running your business. So therefore, the taxes have to be passed on to the renter. So renters do pay the taxes here. And they have just as much right to be involved in city government as owners. Now, it looks like renters don't vote quite as often as owners do. And I got to say, I think that's a bad thing. I think that if you pay your money, you should get your opinion heard. So get involved, people. Tell these bureaucrats what you think. Looks like New Hampshire lawmakers are taking a new look at slot machines. Revenue crunch over how to pay for education. State lawmakers are giving legalized slot machines another look. House members studying legalized gambling head to Rockingham Park on Tuesday for a close look at the potential site of 3,000 video slot machines. A subcommittee on gambling is looking into how much money the state might get if it legalized slot machines in Rockingham Park, the state's 3 Greyhound tracks, including Hinsdale Greyhound Park. Legalizing slots has come before and been killed before, but now with questions about where to find money to pay for schools, lawmakers think the idea has a better shot and could be an alternative to raising taxes on business or property. Well, I'm going to have to do it again. I'm going to have to congratulate the lawmakers. I hate doing that. I'm not saying that I think it's a good idea to bring more revenue into Concord. I don't. I think that the more money the politicians have, the more crap they screw up. But I do have to congratulate them on this innovative idea of collecting funds. Now, in this particular case, these slot machines will not be run by the state. They will simply get a certain amount in taxes or whatever from whatever businesses they allow to have these slot machines. Now, personally, it's my opinion that you should be able to have a slot machine in your convenience store, in your bar, in a Greyhound track. If you want to have it in your sewing supply store, if you want to have it in the hairdresser, you should be able to have a slot machine. There should be no reason why you shouldn't be able to provide the service of gambling to your customers. Now, gambling, you're not going to make a lot of money doing that. It's a bad idea generally. But if somebody wants to gamble, then let them. I one time went on a cruise, a Norwegian cruise line. If you want to spend a lot of time with some very, very old people, go on a Norwegian cruise. But one of the old ladies that I was sitting next to while we were on a bus tour of Tel Aviv or something, seeing all the great church sites in Jerusalem or God knows what, she told me that gambling saved her life. Now, remember, I don't believe in gambling. I think it's a bad idea. So I looked down my nose a little bit and I was kind of sad, but I let her, continue going on. And she said that after her husband died and, her kids all lived about the country, like good parents should. Their kids should move out and go and do things. That's what life's about. But she was by herself, and she was very lonely, very sad, and she got some kind of joy, some kind of solace out of gambling. Now, this was 1998. Internet gambling hadn't hit its peak at that point before the United States government decided you were too stupid to do that and outlawed it here. But so this was, cruise gambling kind of thing. She felt, and who am I to say otherwise? She felt that gambling saved her life. I can't say that I think it's a good idea to gamble. I don't. But I support the legalizing of slot machines. I think that it's a good way for the state to make money. You don't have to use the slot machine if you don't want to, and a lot of people will. So it's a good way for the state to make money, and it's a good way for you not to have to pay taxes. So I support that. Apparently the Circle is open on Main Street and providing relief. Well, it is providing relief. It's better than Grove Street, coming down Grove Street and water and all that stuff. And I'm sure the residents of those streets are very, very happy that it's finally open. And I'm sure the businesses on Marlborough Street are very, very happy that they can finally get some customers in. Because it's been a long, long summer for a lot of businesses in Keene. Now, they did manage to get the Circle open on the second day that they said that they would. It was it was late on Friday. I reported here that at 4:30 it hadn't yet opened, and it hadn't. But by the time I went home that evening, it had. So, congratulations to the city on making it, to their second deadline, not the first one, because you wanted to make it before Keene's graduates came. But not too bad. When you week off, that's pretty good for a public program. But it's not really done now, is it? The Circle's done, and they can say, "Look, we got the Circle done." But there's that whole Winchester problem. I mean, it's all tore up from the Circle now, all the way from the expensive Circle there in Main Street, all the way to the pub. When's that going to be open? Man, was anybody driving today in Keene? Because the traffic was horrendous, going everywhere. I couldn't figure it out. Every major intersection, there was a 5-minute wait. Is something special going on Fridays? Because it seems like Fridays are the worst as far as traffic goes in Keene. Maybe it's just on Fridays I need to get out and do stuff more. I don't know. But, man, got to do something about the traffic, and I don't know what. I know that if we allow our public officials to solve our little problems as far as traffic go, though, we screw it up. So I'd like to recommend, as often as you can, and I do this, practice what I preach. Take your bicycle everywhere you can. I drive it to work. I drive it to pick up the mail in my mailbox on Main Street. It's just a really convenient way to get around. You don't have to zip by problem areas and corners that are ugly and it take a little while to get through. You just bicycles. Keene's made for bicycles, and apparently it's so made for bicycles that the bicycling bank robber is still at large. Yes, that's right. The guy who robs banks on a bicycle, is still out there. The cops here in Keene. I mean, we have so many police in Keene per capita. We have an army of police in Keene. We have enough police that we could invade Brattleboro and take them over. I mean, it's a huge amount of police, and somehow, some way, we can't catch a guy on a bicycle robbing banks. Does that make you indignant? Well, it shouldn't. It should not. It is not the responsibility of the police to protect you or your business. The Supreme Court has said so time and time again. If it was their responsibility, you'd be able to sue them. The bank would be able to say, we're going to sue the police department because we got robbed. They're supposed to protect us. Now, I know on the side of their cars it says protect and serve. That's just PR BS. Don't believe that. That's not what they're there for. Any cop will tell you that that's not what they're there for. Now, the police, God bless them. These people, likely, if they were there when a crime was coming around, they'd throw themselves in front of a bullet for you. They would. But they're not going to be there. Not most of the time. Not the vast majority of the time. The evidence is that a guy on a bicycle can get away from a bank. And it's pathetic. So it's really the bank's responsibility to protect itself, not the police. Don't think that it is. The police are only there to clean up the mess. They come, they fill out a report. And that was, white male, 5'9", 145 pounds, missing a tooth in front. Gotcha. And, they write that down, take it down, and that way if they catch the guy later, they'll know that it was the same guy. Missing a tooth in front. That's what they do. They come and they clean up, they collect a little evidence. Sometimes they do a little police work and try to find people and that kind of thing, but they're just there for the cleanup. And they're there to do collect money for the police department. That's what that's what tickets are. They're, fundraising for the police department, for the state, for the local municipality. So they go out and they hand out a bunch of speeding tickets. You didn't stop all the way at that stop sign kind of tickets. The petty, silly little tickets that they give out, that's really what they're there for. They're for the money. What kind of money does the police department get if they solve a bank robbery? If they do catch this guy in the bicycle bank robber, the scurrilous bicycle bank robber, what do the cops get out of it? Nothing. Pats on the back, and everybody likes pats on the back. It's nice to get the newspaper saying good things about you. But we know, this is how I go to work every day to make money. The police department needs money to run. That's how they make their money. They hand out tickets and they arrest people for vice crimes. This is the money makers when it comes to police departments. So don't expect the cops to save you when it comes to a bank, or don't expect the cops to catch some dork on a bicycle that can rob banks. It's hilarious. We got a bicycling bank robber in Keene. That's not what they're for. Well, pardon me, I have a little off-camera stuff there. The fact is, if you expect these police to protect you, you're wrong. The Supreme Court said that they're not going to. There's no reason for it, for you to believe otherwise. The police say alcohol cases have spiked. I wonder why. Could it be that college is back in session? Keene police made numerous arrests and issued several summons for alcohol violations over the weekend, according to police reports. Many of the arrests and summons, which totaled nearly 20, stemmed from neighborhoods around Keene State College. And most were underage possession of alcohol or open alcohol container charges. Arrests or summons were reported in areas including Winchester, Blake, Wilson, Davis, Marlborough Streets. I know it's happening on Marlborough Street. That's where I live. Couple things. First off, this whole alcohol consumption at 21 age limit thing, stupid. It's dumb. Do you really want your child to be arrested and be summoned to court and have on their record for the rest of their life some kind of criminal charge for possessing alcohol like you did? Just like you did? Are you telling me that it's okay to hold our children to a standard that's higher than ours was? Look, I'll bet you there isn't 1 out of 10 people within the sound of my voice that can say they didn't consume alcohol prior to age 21. Now we've got our police running around giving these kids tickets for this stuff? This is ludicrous. No, it's not ludicrous. It's criminal. It's criminal to send out a gang to arrest these kids for doing something that's normal, that's expected, that you did. Stop it. Get the police department out of there. Now, I understand completely. These kids get rowdy. And here's my word to these kids. Look, if you were at one of these parties on Winchester, Blake, Wilson, Davis, Marlborough Street, shame on you. Shame on you, Keene State College student that got arrested for alcohol consumption. Don't you know better? Look, if you want to consume alcohol, you're not going to get any kind of trouble for it. It's when you consume alcohol next to noisy idiots that you get in trouble. Stay away from noisy idiots and you won't get any trouble. Now that's my word of advice to anyone who's under the age of 21 who decides that they want to drink alcohol. And they're going to, because you did. My advice to us adults, those 21 and over, we need to stand up and say, no, this is wrong. We've had enough of it. There's no reason for these young people to have on their records for the rest of their lives some kind of criminal conviction for doing something that's so normal as consuming alcohol before the age of 21. They do it in Canada. They do it in every country in Europe. There's nowhere in the world that I know of. Maybe there is. Maybe there's some kind of backwater Muslim country, probably crazy Muslim sick religious weirdos that say that you can't consume alcohol and they start at 25. But our Puritan roots, it's hurting us. This hurts us. This hurts our job market in the future. Ludicrous. It's a darn shame. And if we taught our kids to consume alcohol at home, a little wine with dinner, a little beer with pizza, these kids wouldn't have the same raucous, silly attitude about alcohol, and we wouldn't have the problems. Yes, they are annoying at 3 o'clock in the morning when they're screaming in the streets because they've drank too much bush beer. But it's because we have this prohibition against drinking alcohol before age 21. We brought this on ourselves. Take responsibility, Mr. and Mrs. America, Mr. and Mrs. New Hampshire, Mr. and Mrs. Keene. Take responsibility for what you have wrought also. Speaking of home protection, apparently the Browns have booby-trapped their house. Booby traps protect home, letter to lawmaker indicts. Indicates. I don't like to spend much time on the Browns here on the show. They seem to be our national news in New Hampshire. This is what we bring the world. We pick the president, and we've got Ed Brown. Fabulous. Okay. Ed Brown, little loony. His wife, very nice. If their house is booby-trapped, well, why are we bothering these people? Yes, I know they're the scofflaws. They've flaunted our income tax law. But so what? Ed Brown hasn't hurt anybody, and he doesn't intend to hurt anybody unless they come on his property after him. Now, the newspapers call that threats. That's not a threat. It's not. If I say to you, look, if you come on my property and try to kidnap me and my wife, I'm going to shoot you, that's not a threat. That's an understanding. That's just making clear what's going to happen. Because you can believe if a burglar comes into my house and tries to steal something out of my house or hurt my family, I'm going to shoot him right in the forehead. And then I'm doing the right thing. Now, if that burglar, that man that's come into my house, suddenly has a badge on, I'm doing the wrong thing? When did our police become our moral superiors? When did our government become our moral compass? I don't know if you know, but Thomas Jefferson said, when a people fear their government, there's tyranny. And when a government fears the people, there's liberty. Does our government fear us? Does the government fear Ed Brown? Or do we fear them? Ed Brown's a little nutty. Seems crazy to me. But leave him alone, for God's sake. He hasn't hurt anybody. Massachusetts man insists his New Hampshire highway tokens are still valid. He just spent 3 days in jail because the state maintains otherwise. Thomas Jensen, 68, of Braintree, says the state broke a contract with him and everyone else who bought tokens by refusing to accept them after January of last year. He was convicted of theft of services for continuing to use the tokens after they were phased out in favor of the Easy Pass system. Monday, a judge told Jensen he could pay a $150 fine, do community service, or go to jail for 3 days. Look, this guy bought these tokens. Now, I'm not saying that on the token they said good forever and ever, but they didn't say to expire on January the 1st, 2007. The law says that if you have a coupon, they have to put an expiration date or it's good forever. But the state controls the law, so they decide. They get to choose. And in this case, New Hampshire decided to put a man in jail over these tokens that he spent money on. He spent his hard-earned money on these tokens, and they made them worth nothing with a stroke of their pen. That's wrong. That's dead wrong. And this judge goes and does this? This judge agrees with this? I mean, I thought judges were on our side. I thought judges were supposed to be fair and just and equitable. I didn't realize that they were stooges for the government. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that they... Oh, wait a minute. Where do they get their paycheck from? The state's attorney gets his paycheck from the government. The judge gets his paycheck from the government. Your lawyer is part of an association that is allowed to exist by the government, the Bar Association. Maybe it's all rigged. This is wrong. It's wrong. This man paid his money for these tokens, and they should allow him to use them. Their little easy pass thing. Their easy pass thing's fine. It's convenient. It's great. They should honor those tickets, and they shouldn't have put those tokens, and they shouldn't have put that man in jail. Wrong, wrong, wrong. I'd like to issue a thank you from Cheshire TV to the 30 to 50 people that showed up yesterday at 6:30 for the town, the councilor meeting there, and supported Cheshire TV. Looks like things are looking up for old Channel 8, and Cheshire TV says thanks. Newspaper said 30 people, maybe more. It looked like more. People were coming and going all the time, so it looked like it could have been more. City's airport is set to take off. This is a great idea. They're going to bring a hangar and commuter air services to Keene. It's going to be a good thing. I would love to have some traffic coming from all over. You can get a 40-minute flight to New York City. Bam! In New York, just like that. What worries me is, who's paying for it? Is it going to be this Ambassador Airlines that's going to pay for it? If so, that's great. That's great. Please, give them the room, let them build a hangar, and let's get this commuter service to New York and all over started. But if it's the taxpayer at Keene, that's wrong. What if they never want to use the airport? It's wrong that they should have to pay for it. Apparently, the city is also thinking about using hybrid cars rather than regular cars. So not only will they buy these really expensive hybrid vehicles that are out there, but they'll probably get rid of perfectly good vehicles in order to get them, which will cost us that much more. No. No. The city bureaucrats, bicycles. If they need to go someplace, get them those really cool double bicycles where they have seats on and they can pedal together. Now that is environmentally conscious city action. These bureaucrats don't need hybrid cars. They don't need cars at all. We should get them bicycles. As a matter of fact, if you want them to be environmentally friendly bicycles, you can paint them green. Yes, that's what our bureaucrats need, bicycles. Apparently, the committee also recommended to the council to expand city employees' work benefits to same-sex partners in civil unions. I find this very difficult. It's a difficult issue. I think that gay people should be treated as the way straight people should. But I also know that other people don't feel the same way as I do. And I think that it's wrong to force them to do and feel the way that I do. If there's a good Christian person out there paying their taxes, isn't it a slap in their face to take their money and pay it off to the partners of civil unions of gay employees? Seems like it to me. My name is Mark Edgington. You have any comments on any of the comments that I've made, you can get a hold of me at mark@freekeene.com. That's MARK@freekeene.com. Love to hear from you. Thanks for watching the Keene Weekly News.